10 investigates little kids, big bucks, and your money. We have uncovered evidence that some tax-funded daycares could be taking advantage of your tax dollars. Investigative reporter Paul Aker has more on an industry that rakes in more than $100 million a year just in Franklin County.
It's a daycare where kids come and tax dollars go. It's also where questions of fraud swirl. The problem involves tax-subsidized cards like these. Low-income parents use them as passports to free childcare. Daycares get paid several dollars an hour for each kid, and the clock starts with each swipe.
When I go in, I punch in myself and I keep my card.
But last fall, the FBI raided a pair of daycares called Global Child Care Center and National Child Care Center as part of a federal billing investigation. Together, the daycares pulled in more than $2.4 million tax dollars last year alone. Agents carted away evidence as neighbors watched.
I knew something fishy was going on.
The daycares are owned by a husband and wife, and nobody has been charged with a crime.
10 Investigates wanted to know if there's fraud in the daycare system. We found information that defies the laws of physics, like 2 kids checked in here at Global, but somehow at the same time checked in here at National.
Billing data that we requested from the state shows that happened with this child, who is identified by a state number. We found that the child checked in here at Global on April 2nd at 8:30 in the morning, and somehow, without ever checking out, the same child checked into National at 8:58 in the morning, 2 places at the same time on taxpayers' dime. We found the same thing for another child at the same time.
That same data shows daycares backswiping. Backswiping happens when a kid didn't check in, but is later swiped in as attending.
Backswiping is allowed as a backup if parents forget their card. Still, we found it happened 25% of the time at Global and 26% of the time at National last year.
If you have that high percentage of backswipes, is it indicative that fraud might be going on?
I think so.
Joel Potts is the director for an organization that represents county-level job and family service agencies. He says he's already warned the state about backswiping in other cases that he's reviewed.
Certainly in some of the cases we've seen, we feel strongly it's fraud.
We went to National Child Care Center to try to get answers from this assistant manager.
Do you know whether there are kids that are checked in here that are also checked in elsewhere?
Again, I would refer the question I would suggest you should talk to our counselor.
By email, that lawyer declined to comment. So did this man on the left.
Mr. Ashkir Ali?
Ashkir Ali recently owned this daycare called WAISS Learning Center. He sold it after he was charged for using another one of his companies to rip off federal tax dollars. That was an after-school tutoring company called WAISS Technology. Last month, a judge sentenced Ali to prison for using the tutoring company to falsify attendance records and get money for students who weren't there. At his daycare, 10 Investigates found red flags too. At WAISS Learning Center, 78% of the kids were backswiped last year.
Mr. Ali, I need to know about Waste Learning Center. We have reason to believe there's fraud going on, is there?
10 Investigates also took questions to the state agency in charge, but Ohio Job and Family Services Director Cynthia Dungy repeatedly denied requests for an on-camera interview. However, her spokesman said the department tried to shut down Global and National, but a judge refused. Potts says it's time for the state to own the problem.
Is the state doing enough, you think?
I always think we can do more, but I think this is an area where clearly we should be focusing on. You know, it shouldn't take it ending up on television before they take it serious.
And the state now says that the data it supplied for this story is flawed. It says that happened because 10 Investigates asked for too many records. However, we did take the data to one of the parents who had a child at one of the daycares, and she told us our information checked out exactly. The state also refuses to release additional data that we've requested.
Paul, 2 kids checked in at different locations at the same time. How does the state explain that?
Not very well, actually. There's not a good explanation. The state tells us this could be a mistake or it could be fraud.
Something.
You bet.
Thanks a lot, Paul. We've focused and posted, more investigative documents from Paul's story on 10TV.com. It includes details on centers shut down because of fraud.